Hey, this is Josh Gray. I'm a coach with FC Alliance, and this is the No Playbook podcast.
All right. Thank you so much for checking out the show. It's the podcast featuring the outstanding athletes, coaches, and experts from East Tennessee. My name is Casey. Today, another episode in the kind of Knoxville soccer spotlight feature that we're going to be doing here on the show. At least once a month, featuring some kind of a guest that is a player or a coach, some kind of an expert that can kind of illustrate what's going on in the world of soccer here in East Tennessee. It may be somebody from Chattanooga, Johnson City, or here in Knoxville. So today joining me is Josh Gray, somebody that's been involved with FC Alliance for many years. He's a coach going to be helping with 865 Alliance this summer. So I wanted to have him on just to kind of detail, what's going on in his world and what he can see and for what's coming up this spring, this summer, soccer-wise in East Tennessee. This episode is sponsored by Stinnett Collision. Reach out to them if you're in need of automotive repair. I'll get to Josh Gray right after this. Sit tight.
Hi, I'm Zach Stinnett, third-generation owner of Stinnett Collision. As a proud supporter of Tennessee athletics, we know that every game counts. When a collision puts you out of play, we're here to get you back in the game. Family-owned since 1965, Stinnett Collision now has locations in Maryville and Sevierville. With double the space and a team of certified technicians, we'll tackle your repairs and get you back on the road in no time. Don't let a collision sideline you. Visit Stinnett Collision today.
There he is. What's up, man?
Not much. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Things going all right today?
Things are great. The Chattanooga thing is nuts. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, you guys are just expanding all over, going up into the Tri-Cities, now Chattanooga.
We have to increase our player pool to be able to compete with the big cities we have to play. So they just have too much population that resets their teams every year. They add 6 or 7 players a year, and it's becoming more prevalent because they have affiliates now. And if we don't broaden our player pool to include Chattanooga and Johnson City, we'll be left behind.
Yeah. Because you guys, especially on the ECNL level, are playing some really big cities, right?
We're the smallest market in the country.
Wow.
There's no question. We're the smallest market. Like in our conference, every club has NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL. We have UT. So that gives you perspective. Even a Columbus, Ohio has MLS. We're competing with some very large markets.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have a lot of kids that will travel from Chattanooga or Johnson City to play with the Knoxville club?
We already have about 20 of each gender that do that.
Oh, that's great.
For the last 15 years. That's not a new thing. Our roots are pretty deep in those places.
Yeah. I had Caden Norris on the show not long ago. I remember she was talking about making that trek.
She made it from age 12 until 19.
Wow.
7 years. And she was a kid who wouldn't miss practice. She'd come all 3 nights. And she refused her dad. I told her dad she does not have to do this. She can train there and come here once a week. He's like, she won't do it.
That's great dedication.
Yeah.
Well, hey, man, so you honestly, you kind of, came to me with this idea of sort of a Knoxville soccer spotlight at least once a month. We can possibly do it even more than that. First of all, I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on why do you think that is an important thing for this market?
I do because of what I've seen it evolve in the last 25 years. When I moved here 25 years ago, there was no clubs. There was places you could register with, but everybody had different uniforms in that club, and then shortly thereafter, you had Impact and Knoxville Crush that got going in about 2001, so 24 years ago. And then 24 years later, you're looking at ECNL, Boys Academy, Boys ECNL, MLS Next, Girls Academy, all these acronyms, all this stuff. But 25 years ago, there was nothing. So I think it is important to spotlight soccer in Knoxville currently because of how much it's grown in the last 25 years. I mean, there are so many people that put in work that are gone now that people don't even know their names. And they build it and they just kind of faded. So I think spotlighting everyone is important.
Yeah. Talking about all the acronyms and stuff, I know you know Steve Feather really well.
Yes.
He's one of my best friends, and I was texting him yesterday about the difference between WPSL and USLW, and he was just kind of like, "Man, I mean, I'm in the zeitgeist of this soccer world, and even my hair's kind of blown back."
So that's my life. Um, like if you look at the Knoxville scene currently, you have one Knox professional. They're in USL 1. In US soccer pyramid, that's like single A baseball, would be a good comparison. It gets lost. They are professional athletes, and it is awesome what they're doing professionally. Then you go down to WPSL and USLW. They're both just amateur leagues. They're all college kids with some high school kids. Nobody gets compensated. There could be some NIL stuff here and there, but that's about it. And it's just amateur. Same thing with our men, the NPSL, amateur. The reason I think the amateur works, in my opinion, is that they're summer leagues. So in Knoxville, like I said, the last 25 years, UT dominates the fall. They recently now dominate the winter with basketball into March. And then UT baseball is as big as ever can be. So with just having summer leagues and fun and local players, we don't have to compete against UT sports. We just simply exist and have 5 or 6 fun Saturdays in June, and players go back to college.
And it really is fantastic competition. I can speak to that for sure.
Yeah. We had Jordan Dudley, who's on the U.S. national team, play a game in Hardin Valley High School, at Hardin Valley Academy in the spring, summer last year. So, we had a full U.S. national team player stepping foot in the WPSL on our field at home. That's kind of neat. That doesn't really happen in small markets.
Yeah. I remember that game. Let me ask you something. This is a real, dummies question, but
No.
I wonder if you have perspective on it. And it really is as simple as what's the difference between those two leagues? So two that we just mentioned, WPSL and USLW. But
Yes.
why is there such a separation when we're trying as a culture in America to build up soccer, especially on the professional level, to be more of a spectator sport and more popular? Why the division with leagues like that?
So both are quality, both are amateur. Depending upon the region you live in, one's better than the other, depending upon the region only. If you're in a WPSL that includes Atlanta, you're in a really tough region with really great players. If you're in a USLW in the Midwest, you probably play better teams than the WPSL teams play because you're close to Chicago and you're close to Cincinnati and you're close to major market cities. The answer to your question is follow the money. We all have to pay a lot of money to play in these leagues. And FC Alliance, we just decided that we would never want our players to come back to have to pay. So we take a pretty big loss each summer, but we do it because we want the kids to have a place to play, free, to train, to travel, and kind of give it back to them for what they gave us through their youth career. And it's pretty cool because we have loyalty of players that play for us and they come back and they play because they know that little kids are going to come out and watch them play, that they're going to wear the same uniform they wore. And, they're kids that we developed from age 8 to 19. We help them be better people, better athletes. I even help them a lot with college and the transfer portal when they get to college. So it's nice to see them come back and play for us because they feel the loyalty of everything we've done to help them over the years.
I even look at down in Chattanooga, you've got CFC and the Red Wolves. And from what I can tell, it appears like they're more or less on the same level. They're just two completely different professional leagues. And I sometimes have trouble understanding why.
If you watch the game, which I did, they are the same level. Red Wolves pulled it out. They won. Red Wolves are in USL League One. Chattanooga is an MLS Next Pro. Two competing organizations with teams at the same exact level. I think it's like I said, follow the money to which side, and no one wants to let go of that portion of the market share.
Yeah. Now, and I just know this as I live in Maryville, have a kid that played for Blount United. You also have a connection with the Blount United crew as well now, right?
Yeah, we just want to support anyone that needs support, no matter what it is. It's not good in Knoxville if everybody wears one shirt. You have to have places, you have to have other clubs, you have to have other shirts so that when you have leagues, they get to play teams from other areas, other counties, just not the same club. Parents do not generally love playing your same club over and over and over again. They like it when you play a Blount United or you play a Score or you play a Greenville, or they really like that. It's different.
Well, and to that, is there any kind of a strategy that parents should look for if they've got a kid that just loves the sport and they're trying to decide, hey, which local club do I join?
You find the best coach. It's different in every age. It's different in every area. You can have a fantastic coach that develops you and develops players, and you stick with the coach until you can't any longer. And then from there, at that point, you have to look at the club. And is there an end game? Where does it end? What age do I look to play at the highest level? Can I play other sports? There's so many factors in it that go into it. But I think the biggest thing is find the best coach. Everybody says they have a league that does lots of things. Everybody says their league's the best. You have to just do the research and see which leagues are the best. And the research is pretty easy to find. You can find who's going to college and what leagues, all over, boys and girls, all over the country. So just do the research. The research is all available.
Yeah. Now, as we're approaching summertime, or even I think May is when the NPSL, WPSL begin their matches. How about a little pitch for why should folks consider coming to watch one of those matches for 865 Alliance this summer?
Well, I think first off, we have the best PA announcer in the city, maybe state, maybe region.
There you go.
That was where I would start for sure. Come out, have a good time. But really, honestly, it's watching elite local players play. On the men's side, it's a little more college-based, kids from local colleges. On the women's side, it's a lot of Knoxville. It really is. It's players that are giving back to the community. And what they do is they bring their friends from college to do it with them. So they're like, we like our coach. Alan does a great job. Laban does a great job on the men. But they get their friends to come and play with them from their school. The men's team has players from Lee, Carson Newman, Tennessee Wesleyan, all over the place. The women, we have players, 5 from Tennessee, 2 from Florida, 1 from Clemson, all over. Tennessee Tech, MTSU, really everywhere. But the cool thing about it is they played in our club and they bring their friend to play with us and stay with them for the summer, have a good time. But both rosters are quality, and it's a fun environment to cheer for local kids.
Do you have any Tennessee players that are going to be a part of the? I remember Lawson last year came, and she's not local, but she still came.
She was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other Tennessee players this year that are going to be a part of the team like that?
There's one that I can't announce here, but one more in addition to Liv, Nyla, Caden. There's one, possibly 2 more in that mix.
Okay. I know one of them.
Yeah.
That you're not mentioning. Who has also been on the podcast. But that's great. So I guess just to kind of move things along with this show, I always like to ask, because I would imagine you've got some former players that you've coached listening to this. Is there something you could share that none of them know about you?
Probably is everyone that I've coached or worked around, they know that I grew up in Pittsburgh, but it's much smaller than that. I grew up in a village, probably less than 500 people, and the center of it was a soccer field and an Italian restaurant, and the whole town would go out on Sunday because you played for your town on Sundays. So you play for your club on Saturday, but on Sunday you play for your town. So the whole town would go out, watch the game, and then go in and have a meal afterwards, the opposing team. Pretty cool little environment. For me growing up, I played soccer 7 days a week because whoever was practicing there, I was in their practice from age 6 until 20. I played every day. And it was just something we did. I mean, there was traditions in that town, like every New Year's Day at noon. Doesn't matter how much snow. Everybody's in shorts and a t-shirt, and you play a game. And some of the guys were coming in from the bars at noon, and they were 40 and I was 12, but you still play the game. And I would say that's one thing I've really never discussed with people is, in that town, it's called Dunleavy. I've got pictures in my office of teams from 1908. It's been there a minute. So I would say that's the biggest thing. People do know that it's way different there than here. Like the clubs formed in the late 1800s, and here they formed in 2000. So it's a little bit different soccer culture for sure. But that's why I think you should spotlight it, because it's grown so fast in 25 years that it needs a light shined on it.
Yeah. And also to that spotlight, I'm buddies with Brian and Patty, who have run the Knox Soccer podcast for a while.
We did it a couple of years ago.
Okay.
John and I did it. Yeah.
Well, I actually just learned that they have hung up their headphones, so I believe they're ending that show.
Yeah.
What about an unforgettable memory for you as a coach?
I would say it was, as a coach, it would be winning state championships when it was important. Won regionals in Pennsylvania when it was important. This was before the DA, this is before ACNL, it's before all of that. Before those leagues existed, winning your state was massive. And to be able to say that you were the state champion, it was massive. Probably won 10 or so of those, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun. And the ECNL, realistically for us, if we could finish in the top 25 in the country, it's remarkable. To finish in the top 10, I don't know that's possible out of Los Angeles, New York City, Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas. But for us, just qualifying now in the top, say, 44 and making Champions League in ECNL is like winning a national championship. So difficult to do for us in our market size. Like I said, smallest market in ECNL. But favorite sports moment is different. It's definitely the 94 World Cup. My best friend's dad was helper for Wide World of Sports, ABC, that did basically all those games. And what he did was they had football announcers like Al Michaels and John Madden trying to call soccer games. So he would be in the booth telling them what to say. So for that, I got to sit in the front row at the 6-yard line for several games. My favorite one was Holland and Saudi Arabia. The Dutch smuggled in an entire band. I mean, probably 300-person orchestra that was playing the entire time. And it was a close game. I think it was 1-0, 2-1. But when Holland scored the winning goal, it rained beer like it came out of the sky. They threw it all straight up in the air, and it just rained onto the field, onto the stands. That was definitely my favorite sports moment.
Was that Ruud Gullit for that Holland team?
Marco van Basten, all those guys. Mark Overmars. Yeah, that was the team. But that environment of their fans was something. And I went to lots of games. I went to Italy, Ireland, and New York City. I mean, the crowd there was amazing. But that experience with Holland and them smuggling in an entire band, obviously before September 11th and metal detectors. But they just they were all looked like they were 300 pounds and then started pulling instruments out, and they got down to 150 real quick.
Excellent, man. I'm going to put this together. I'll have it out on Monday.
Cool. Yeah, it was fun. So, like I said, I'd like to spotlight it on everybody because it's grown a lot. And it's taken a lot of people to do it. And I don't know that I can do it, but maybe we can get someone who helped build it on here that's not in a club anymore.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great. I had a kid from South Doyle. South Doyle just won state championship last year. So I had a kid from South Doyle on a couple weeks ago, and he grew up playing with the Reds.
Mm-hmm.
So able to just kind of talk about, what that's like.
Oh, there's been so many clubs, Casey. Like Stars, Tennessee, Elite, Impact, Crush, Reds. It's been forever. There's been so many of them.
Yeah.
Smoky Mountain Soccer Club was the biggest one when I moved here, but all it was you brought your coach and your team and you registered with them. Whatever uniform you bought for your team, that's your name. Most of them had like EPL names and stuff like that, but it was just a place to register. Really,
Absolutely.
Crush and Impact were the first two clubs that wore the same uniforms and had a mission.
Yeah. I think my uniform simply said Vulcan on it when I grew up, or I moved here in the 11th grade, so I just joined the team in Maryville.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
I'll share this with you next week.
Let me know. Thank you. See you.
All right. Thanks, Josh.